Hello and welcome to another Mind Mastery video. Today I wanted to talk about quite a few different things, um, but they are connected together. So on the one side, there's this kind of schizoid autonomy, which obviously is very important to all people with schizoid personality that I've met, the kind of sense of autonomy, independence, maintaining that. Um, and I wanted to talk about this relationship between that sense of autonomy in relation to self concept and identity, especially in relationships and social interactions, because I think that's where most of the challenges come up for schizoids. So, um, starting right off the bat, I think that basically a major challenge for people with schizoid personality is the fact that once they start getting into relationships, whether it's friendships, social interactions, romantic relationships, whatever that is, that sense of autonomy and independence is getting challenged. And on the one hand, obviously the Zoid wants to maintain the boundaries and space and maybe some sort of level of detachment in order to preserve their sense of self. But on the other hand, I think there is another layer that some people might be more aware of, maybe others a bit less. That refers to that kind of, as they call it, the schizoid hunger for love, or the hunger for unmet emotional needs in relationships. So what are they? Um, this so if you think about the schizoid personality as having these different layers, on a most surface level, there's this maybe um, a persona of detachment, aloofness, flat affect, um, keeping a distance from other people, so self-sufficiency, self-reliance, independence, autonomy, kind of all this other all these different aspects of basically being somewhat a person who doesn't need anyone, right? So that's usually is at the surface level, and it can go really far into being completely disconnected from yourself, from your feelings, from other people, etc. But as you start peeling off these layers, the idea is that once you get to the core of the schizoid, and the core of the so-called schizoid dilemma is this position where you become aware. Actually, you don't actually become aware. I think it rarely happens because it's extremely. I think it's extremely distressing, and it takes a lot of therapeutic work to get to that point. So it's not like, oh, you just become aware one day. But for the purpose of this video, just imagine that you do become aware of your relational needs, and the idea is that these needs are usually um, relate to kind of, in a sense, blending with other people, taking a wanting to spend a lot of time and yeah, lot of time and energy, I guess, with other people, especially in romantic relationships. So these are the kind of unmet needs that the schizoid never got a chance to have fully met. um Again, theory. But on the other hand, there's a belief that if, and it's not just the random belief, it can be obviously verified by how people are in relationships, that if you do pursue this kind of extreme hunger for relational needs, you will destroy the so-called the object, or you're gonna destroy the person you're in the relationship with, because your demands or your needs are simply too much for them. So going back to the sense of autonomy and the self-concept, as people become more and more, as schizoids become more and more comfortable in relationships, this surface level of defenses, they usually start dropping down. So you the idea of the relationship is to become a bit more open and vulnerable with other people. Again, depends on the type of relationship, But obviously, if you don't want to maintain some kind of connection and a relation with someone, even if it's just a kind of surface level friendship, there is an expectation that you do want to bring in at least some aspects of your authentic self. And this is where the schizoids can usually become aware, at least of some aspects of their relational needs, if they are honest enough about it with themselves. Again, no requirement to do it with a partner, but usually it's going to start coming up for yourself, for themselves, whatever reference you want to make. And obviously the coping strategy here is that you know even if you will start becoming a little bit aware of this emotional needs or some kind of dependence on the other person, even the slightest awareness of that will push you, usually unconsciously, will push you back into this extreme of, being autonomous, self-reliant. You don't need other people. Because if you do go along with this, emotional needs, that's going to start threatening, like for reals, start threatening your whole identity and self-concept. And I know that people can get schizoids can get lost in that space because it's so new and it's so it can be really tempting to go along with this kind of um let's blend in together and let's do things together all the time. And in my opinion, that's why schizoids can be extremely vulnerable to relationships with borderlines, with people, with borderlines, and generally people from a cluster B personality types, borderlines and narcissists, because the cluster B needs this kind of people for their own existence, whereas the schizoid wants to go into this kind of spaces where there is maybe some kind of enmeshment or codependency type of situation. Again, this is a very unconscious process for schizoids normally, but once you kind of step out of the obvious dynamics, this is what you can observe, and it doesn't happen as often as as I might be portraying it, because again it's very, at least in my opinion, it's a very destructive and disturbing process to go through. And so most of the schizoids, I would say, they don't even reach these deeper levels of emotional vulnerability and dependence. So that obviously the road to recovery, or at least a road to functioning in a way that is healthy and comfortable for you, is to start integrating this emotional stuff into your relational space, whilst also continue using the defenses that you are using, again, to maybe lesser extent, because there's nothing wrong with, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with wanting autonomy and independence. And I think that is a skill and a strength that schizoids can use in managing the other aspects of their personality, the other maybe unintegrated and underdeveloped aspects of themselves, in order to start managing the relationships to an extent that works best for them. And it's more authentic, it's more whole, and it doesn't put us in a position where we're completely dependent on other people, when it's a total chaos, and most importantly, when we lose ourselves. I mean, that is the core issue with relationships for schizoids. How many times have you heard of this idea, like, I go into a relationship and I start becoming more authentic or whatever, the relationship keeps going, and then I just lose myself, right? One of the core challenges for the schizoids, and one of the core reasons of why schizoids will continue avoiding relationships, because it just costs too much. It costs too much. So again, in my opinion, the road to that kind of a recovery, I don't know how to what extent a total recovery from schizoid is possible, if it is even something that you need to recover from. That's another whole subject to discuss. But um, managing this conflict between, a drive towards independence and individuation and separation, and a drive towards some kind of dependence and vulnerability, and openness and some kind of interdependence rather than codependence. So kind of finding the middle ground between these two aspects, two ways of relating to other people. Um, I think it's a worthy goal to pursue for any schizoid out there interested in, obviously becoming more than they are right now, and open to experiencing life through different lenses. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.